Into the Spider-Verse we go. Spider-Verse comics. I'm going to take you on a little trip through the periphery and what led into the modern Spider-Verse as we all know it today. We'll do a little we'll do Spider-Man #1, and I'll start with a little animation for the noobs so they can get a good visual sense of what we're looking at. And before we do that, let's do a quick little cast rundown. Of course, you got the new Ultimate Spider-Man, right? Miles Morales. The original Lord and Master, amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker that everybody's known since like August 15th of 1964, maybe, I'm guessing, 67. Either way, of course you got him, and he's also got some nicknames. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the Sensational Spider-Man, good old Webhead, Baby Spider-Man, or actually a whole Spider-Verse of Baby Spider-Mans, and before I forget, my personal favorite Spider-Man, Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, what a fun series. Too bad this had to end. And while I get this feature set up and loaded for y'all, take a look at this animation, kind of for the noobs so they get a video sense of what we're dealing with here. The Spider-Verse team-up animation I'm going to show you here, wrong one. Okay, features these three right here. Good old ASM, Amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker, upper left, Peter Porker, and maybe my new favorite, Noir Spider-Man, 1930 Noir Spider-Man. And I'll let this play while I queue up the Spider-Man #1 comic book feature for us.
Real homey place you got here. If you're a cockroach. Who are you? Let's just say I'm not from around here. And by here, I mean this universe. Wise guy. Can't be. Do I look familiar? Not anymore, kid. Yikes. Note to self. Stock up on moisturizer. Look, I'm here to help you stop the goblin before he comes for your blood. What is he, some kind of vampire? Worse, crazy scientist. I know this sounds pretty weird. Look, ever since some exotic spider bit me, my life's been nothing but weird. But you did what I did. You became a hero. Some hero. I didn't even want the job. But if I don't go out there every night, the city will drown in its own evil. Criminal scum will take over. The weak will suffer. Whoa! Easy there, tall, dark, and brooding. Let's make a plan before Goblin finds you. I'll find him first. Stay here. I don't need some pesky kid tagging along. Pesky kid? What? What kept you, Chuckles? I thought I told you to stay put. Hey, Paul! Talk about your not-so-friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'll bet this world's version of Aunt May is a real hoot. Aunt May? I ain't seen her in years. Why? Hey! Sometimes the only way to protect someone is to leave them behind. Another note to self? Don't turn into this jerk. This joyride ends now. Now hold still. Don't like the look of that. I don't blame you. I hate shots too. Spider-Man. I think you mean Spider-Men, Gobby.
You hear him, Spider-Men? That's why we're diving into Spider-Man. One of the better comics that people just do not talk about.
As in, we Spider-Men are out of here. last of them. Based on past experience, I'd say no. Gobby's a whiz at pulling last-minute disappearances. Whoa! Speaking of disappearances, seems like Goblin has some competition. Bye, gloomy world. Yep, the next place I landed more cheerful. Once again, I'm headed down the rabbit hole. Or, make that wormhole. Going after the Goblin. After some of the weird worlds I've seen, I'm ready for anything. I take it back! Whoa! Boy, for a talking pig, he wasn't very helpful. Hey! Jackpot! There's my guy, down there! Hold on! I want to talk to you, Mr. Spider... Scarecrow? This costume looks like it was designed for... a pig.
Okay, you found me out. The name's Porker. Peter Porker, a.k.a. Spider-Ham.
That figures. Let me guess. You got your powers from a radioactive spider bite.
Spider bite, yes. Radioactive, no. Seems the critter fell into a batch of my Aunt May's super vitamin-enriched wheat cake batter. Somehow, the vitamins in the batter transferred the spider's abilities to me. I pledged to use my powers for good, and even joined the Avengers. But then, everything changed.
What kind of hero is a Spider-Ham? Sounds more like a Spider-Fail to me.
He made Spider-Ham sound like a failure. Every creature believed it. And soon, so did I. From that moment, I was Spider-Ham no more.
So that's it? You just quit?
Haven't you ever felt like a failure?
Sure. I've even walked a mile in your hooves that time Loki turned me into a pig.
What?
Long story. The point is, I know people depend on me. They need a hero to save.
And I'm going to cut it right there. I just thought it was kind of interesting. And you guys noticed Peter Porker, some of the artwork they showed there for the Spider-Ham origin story is also a storyboard artist on this episode. See his name right there at the bottom? Scotty Young. Good old Scotty, 100 sketches a day Young. He's not just a big part of, or he's a huge part of Marvel's art department. Known for these baby variants. Very, very popular baby variant covers. But Scotty helped in a big way to open up the Spider-Verse and to bring it back a couple years ago when Dan Slott did it. A lot of that was foreshadowed by Scotty Young's earlier work, which was probably, God, maybe 6 years before Spider-Verse and Slott. The unforgettable Legend of the Spider-Clan. Now, if y'all looking for a good anthology Spider-Man book, look no further than the middle of your screen. And the series #1 is over there in the left corner. Some great characters. But it was, you know, the fact that he does all these sketches and Legend of the Spider-Clan and him redoing Peter Porker in a lot of sketches and sketch variants help to put it back on the map. That, you know, there's a lot more to Spider-Man. There's a whole Spider-Verse out there. And a lot of that was thanks to Scotty Young artistically. What you see here, Peter Porker Spider-Ham. There's even a good back issue magazine all about it in the upper left corner. You can get the Essential version, Volume 1. See that in the lower left corner. What we just watched is in your upper right corner. And in the lower right corner, you got Marvel Tales #1. That, you could argue, is maybe even birth of the Spider-Verse. That's the first appearance of Peter Porker, Mr. Spider-Ham himself. And it's a had to double check that one, 1983 first appearance of good old Peter Porker. How sweet is this guy? And granted, over the years, he's had different origin type of Earth origins. And that's why I put on there post-Secret Wars. He's Earth 8311 and good old Noir up there, who we just watched in the Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors Spider-Verse crossover. I think it was Enter the Spider-Verse. I suppose it enters into, edge of, and enter. Earth 90214. Noir Spider-Man, the man with no eyes. Now let's dive into that Spider-Man comic. And this I felt was a good place to touch down on Spider-Verse comics, basically, because it's the first time good old classic Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Friendly Nip, etc., meets good old Miles Morales, who's really the second Ultimate Spider-Man. And we might have to touch on that after this. Sorry about the small font, guys. Do-do-do. And this is also, I suppose you guys seen it, but Bendis writes most of the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, if not all of it. I think he might have wrote all of it. Even the transfer from Peter, or Ultimate Spider-Man's death to Peter Parker's death to Miles Morales. But I don't remember him ever writing Amazing Spider-Man. Right there is a big hint, hint, hint at the villain. Mysterio. Quentin Beck. You know, no offense to Mark Bagley, who drew most of Ultimate Spider. I knew he drew at least the first 100 plus Ultimate Spider-Man comics. He actually drew Ultimate N for Secret Wars as well. But it's nice to see him not draw everything, you know? And that's why when Miles Morales came around, they went a different angle with it. But even though when it says, you know, Spider-Man, you're thinking Ultimate Spider-Man Bendis, I look at, you know, Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm thinking that's the guy I always loved, the classic Ultimate Spider-Man. You know, because they had the same look. Ultimate was just younger. And we'll get into his death prior to this. We'll touch on that. You gotta love Mysterio's garb. He's always all decked out like Serpentor. See right here, I missed out when you died the first time. Not this time. Because I think Beck is confused between the regular Marvel main, you know, Amazing Spider-Man, original Marvel 616 universe, and the Ultimate Universe. Because you find out later that Quentin Beck, Mysterio, is the villain on both Earths. It's the same guy. You know, as opposed to all these other Earths having different heroes. Well, Mysterio's the same Mysterio on both Earths. Which I thought was really cool. Because that's how badass Mysterio is. And just like that, he teleported. And he doesn't quite know it yet. Goofy looking Spider-Man on the right here. They got to stick to the big eyes, McFarlane and Ramos style. And there off in the distance, you see, I believe it's the Triskelon, and that was always home of the Ultimates. The Ultimate Avengers, Ultimates. Some really good stories there, too. We can dive into that as well. Yeah, you really shouldn't be wearing that costume. They do a good size difference. Another thing y'all can do is go watch the rest of that Web Warriors. I want to say it's the movie's Into the Spider-Verse. The original series started as Edge of the Spider-Verse. And, man, I can't remember what the crossover was called. Anyways, Web Warriors, Ultimate Spider-Man, the animated show, which even though it's called Ultimate Spider-Man, isn't really about Ultimate Spider-Man. It's about, good old Peter Parker, 616, Amazing Spider-Man. And I know that's kind of confusing, but you can see more of this in the next issue, Spider-Man number 2. Or you can go watch the rest of that crossover on Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors. And that's what I think it's called. Enter the Spider-Verse, maybe? And somehow they already got people writing in when the first issue just came out. Kind of weird. But yeah, you can see this whole first meeting on the animated film, the TV show, or you can read the second issue of Spider-Man. I actually recommend reading all of it. It's a 5-issue miniseries, and then recently they did a Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Deuce. Or we could go over it right here, I suppose. Why chintz on it, right? We'll skip the Quentin Beck prologue because they touched down on more Mysterio right in the beginning. But we'll go to the dialogue between our two heroes. So, what's the deal? Classic line right there. Is this a clone thing? And I'll tell you what, if you want to read the Clone Saga, read the Ultimate version. It's just the main Amazing Spider-Man Clone Saga version is just this. It's just a mess, in my opinion. dog's driving me crazy. I'm trying to babysit my sister's dog, and every 2 seconds, it's like coming to you. Does it want something? Doesn't want to go outside. Doesn't want to eat. Just wants you standing up, constantly walking around for some reason. I don't know what that's about. And we'll leave it right there. So otherwise the video is going to be 45 minutes. It's going to take too long to upload. And that right there is the single biggest dialogue bubble in the history of comics. What would you do? You guys want to read these, man, I'm telling you. And that's why everybody's so freaked, is because, you know, Ultimate Spider-Man, who looks just like him but a little younger, is dead and has been dead. And at the end of a long run, I can't even remember, it's got to be 100 and, I want to say it was like 145 comics. This is what you need to read to figure out what happened, hows and whys. Great saga. Decent ending to a great saga. The death of my personal favorite, Ultimate Spider-Man. These are the 3 graphic novels you guys would need to read to understand that. You could just go get all these 3 and be fine, but if you experience the whole thing from beginning to end, it's one of the best sagas around town. And besides this, there's also this here kind of leads up to it. Not that you need, this isn't required reading material, but this is a post-ultimatum, Ultimate Ultimate Universe or Ultimate Comics gets labeled Ultimate Comics, because it usually always just said Ultimate, like Ultimate X, Ultimate Spider-Man. And this right here is the single best of all of it. You could argue Ultimate X-Men was a lot of fun. All of Ultimate Spider-Man is good. But this is the wind down right here. These 5, you get the trades. These 5 GNs lead all up and into the end right here. And with that being said, this video is kind of getting too long. Little periphery of the Spider-Verse. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure you sub below. Definitely subscribe here for more. And until next time, the saga continues.